relax. On this video we're basically going to solve some word problems related to derivatives. Okay, so far I've been giving you like some equations, okay, and your job was simply to differentiate. So you were only dealing with numbers, okay, no word problems, anything like that. But now we're moving on to word problems. Okay, so for this one you basically have to know, first thing is that the average rate of change of y with respect to x, okay, over a certain interval, it's basically the slope of the line, which is basically delta y over delta x. Okay, that is basically the slope, because the average rate of change is what, you know, average rate of change is basically how much your y is being changed when it changes over an interval. Okay, and that is basically gonna be the slope between 2 points on a graph. Okay, and now the instantaneous rate of change, which is basically the derivative that we have been dealing with from a long time at this point. If you guys have been following my playlist of Calculus 1, if you haven't, make sure to check that out. Okay, I have made a lot of videos on derivatives, limits, and I have been doing a lot of problems in those playlists, so make sure to check that out if you haven't. Okay, so now like I was saying, so now the instantaneous rate of change, which is basically a derivative, which basically means the average rate over a small interval until it represents a one exact point. Okay, so the average rate of change is basically the rate of change at one specific point. Okay, so that is basically, if you're given a graph, so the rate at which this point is changing. Okay, so that is basically represented by instantaneous rate. Okay, so this is basically the average rate, which means how much your y is being increased over an interval. Okay, so that means over an interval of x, but here you're given a specific x and you want to figure out the rate at which that y is being changed. But in here you are giving a specific x and you want to figure out the rate of change of that one. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So if it doesn't, don't worry, we'll do some problems, so it might click at that point. So yeah, let's start with the problems now. So we have our first question as the internet growth over here. So these are basically the questions that were being asked. Okay, so I'm just going to read out to you the questions. So because the writing is kind of messy, and I know that because I wrote it pretty quickly. So if that doesn't make sense, so I'm just going to read out to you. So so it basically says the number of worldwide internet users in millions between 1995 and 2011 has a reasonable fit within this function, where the fit is represented by PT, so the population in millions, okay, bit of the users using the internet is basically represented by this equation, 3.0 t squared plus 7.08 t negative 45.8. Okay, so we are given this equation over here. Okay, so in the first question we are basically asked to find approximately the average growth rate of the internet users from 2000 to 2005. Okay, so that is our first job over here. So here, since we have to find the average growth rate, it doesn't say any instantaneous growth rate or you know, the growth rate at a specific point. We are given an interval of x and we have to figure out the growth rate of y, so which means we basically have to figure out the slope of it. Okay, so that is basically the slope, the definition that I just told you, which is basically delta y over delta x. So we have to know for 2000. Okay, so 2000 minus 2005, that is gonna be your year, and you basically have to plug in your values, okay, for the f. But here, because it is okay between 1995 and 2011, so that means the 1995 we're going to take that as t equals to 1 over here. Okay, so here, so for 2000 your t is basically going to become 5, and for 2005 your t is basically going to become 10. Okay, so then you'll basically go ahead and do your f of 5, and then you do f of, oh sorry, it has to be because it is changing in y, so that is to be y2 minus y1, and it is asking from 2005, so that is going to be f of, so we basically have to put 10 first. Okay, so 10 and then 5, and then we put 10 minus 5, the change in x. Okay, so if you go ahead and plug this into this formula that you see right over here, so the values that you get is 962 minus 382 million, of course. Okay, so 10 minus 5, and the final answer then you get is approximately 116 million users. So this basically represents the growth rate with respect to time. Okay, so now moving on, what we have is basically the slope of tangent line or the derivative. Okay, so the slope of tangent line, we have to figure that out. So now we have to figure out for 2006, so that at exact moment in time, right, we have to figure out the rate at which is it increasing at one exact moment in time, which is 2006. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. So first thing that we have to do, we have to take the derivative of this expression over here. So if we go ahead and take the derivative of this one, okay, so the 2 brings down, so we have this one, and here is 0.8, and then that is going to go to 0. Okay, so we basically have this over here. Okay, so that was 70.t, not 7 point, that's 70.8. okay. All right, so now once you do this over here, what is your next step? Because we are trying to figure out for 2006, so we basically go ahead and plug in t equals to 11 in this equation that we get. P prime of t, this equation is equals to, now we're gonna go ahead and put 11 into this equation, so we get roughly around 137 million users per year. Does this represents theoretically? So theoretically, this does not mean that we had 137 million users in 2006, right? That is not what it is saying. Okay, if we want to figure out the number of users in 2006, we would simply go ahead and plug in this equation right over here, 11. Okay, but what we did, we took the derivative of that one and then we plug in 11. That means it is telling us the rate at which the users were increasing in 2006. Okay, so I hope it makes sense over here, and you guys know the difference between the average and the rate of change. Okay, the instantaneous rate of change. All right, so now moving on to the letter C over here. So what we have is, what is the predicted number of internet users in 2015 and in 2045? How useful is this model for prediction? Okay, so that is what we have. Okay, so for 2015, because we have to know for the exact instance, okay, here, but we have to know exactly the value, the users in 2015. So like I was explaining before, for 2006, if I ask you, you would go ahead and plug in the value. So likewise, for 2015, so your t, because your t is basically starting from 1995, t being equals to 1. So in 2015, t is gonna be 20. And likewise for 2045, your t is basically gonna be 50 over here. So now once you know your t, your job is basically to plug in into the equation, the original equation that is given to you, because that is basically gonna tell you the number of users. So if you go ahead and plug in 20, you get 2.6 billion users. Okay, not million, that is way too much users. Okay, so 2.6 billion users, and then at 50, so you get even bigger number, 11 billion users. Okay, so you get huge numbers over here. Okay, so here they're basically asking you, how useful is are these predictions? Okay, so like, because they're like approximately equals to these numbers over here, so would you say that these predictions are useful or not? Well, I would say they're probably not. They're probably not useful, close to 2015. So we can say that 2015 prediction is somewhat reasonable because it is, close to 2011. However, for 2045, okay, for t equals to 50, we can say that the predictions are very unreliable because, it is far like outside the model's data interval. And like 2045, it's like 34 years after 2011, and that is gonna be a large extrapolation, so that doesn't make so much sense. Okay, so yeah, it might be realistic for this one, but for this one probably not. Okay, so yeah, so let's go ahead and solve the second question over here, but there are a few things that you guys have to know before we jump on to the next question. So let's go ahead and review them quickly, so it's gonna be easier for us to know what's going on. Okay, so here we're basically, our next question is gonna be on the cost function. Okay, so the cost function, as you guys probably know, the cost function basically represents, the total cost of producing items. Okay, so for example, producing like X items. Okay, so for example, if I'm producing like, let's say 50 items, so C of 50, so that, let's just say that is $200. So what does that mean? It means that it costs total $200 to produce 50 items. Okay, so that basically what it means. So yeah, so the cost function is basically, producing is basically, you know, the total cost of producing X items. Okay, so now we have our revenue function. The revenue is basically the money coming in before subtracting expenses. Okay, and here we have our cost function then. Okay, and the cost function, as you guys already know, that the cost function is basically the revenue minus the cost function. Okay, and then we have our profit function over here, and our profit function, as you guys probably already know, is basically our revenue minus the cost function. Okay, so for example, if your revenue is basically 3,000 and then your cost is basically 2,500, so then your profit is gonna be 500. Okay, so then we have our average cost. Okay, so average cost is nothing but is like on average how much did each item cost to produce. Okay, so that is basically given by this expression that you see over here. So for example, you know, and because it costs $200 for producing 50 chairs, so you know the average cost is basically gonna be 4. Okay, so that is basically the function if you want to figure out the average cost. So you take the cost, you divide it by the number of the items produced. Okay, so like 200 divided by 50, so that is basically gonna give you the average cost, which is also written as C bar. Okay, C bar means average cost, C is the cost function. Okay, so suppose a company increases production from X items to let's say, okay, you know, like X plus delta X items. Okay, so like delta X basically represents the change in number of items. Okay, so and the change in cost is basically gonna be represented by delta C. Okay, so let's say like you're producing like 100 items. Okay, and which is basically gonna cost like $4,900. Okay, and like 101 items. Okay, producing 101 items, which is a one additional item, let's say that is basically gonna cost you this much. Okay, so then your delta X is what? Okay, so your delta is basically the change in the items, which is basically 10. And what about your delta C? So your delta C, you basically have to subtract these two numbers, so you get 458. Okay, so now if you do delta C over delta X, so that is basically gonna be 45.80, which is basically gonna be your average cost. Okay, so like those additional, okay, so those 10 additional items basically cost an average of approximately, you know, this one. Okay, so that is basically the average cost of producing all those 10 additional. Okay, so what is marginal cost over here? So marginal cost is basically telling you approximately how much does it cost to produce one more item. Okay, so that was average cost was basically telling you for additional items. Okay, so the average cost of producing like multiple items. Okay, so like here we increased 10 items. So what was the average cost of making those 10 items? Okay, but here we want to know for the marginal cost, like how much approximately like it's gonna take to cost one more item. Okay, so I hope you guys are able to differentiate between them. So for this one, we basically have to take the derivative of the expression. Okay, so here is like marginal cost is basically gonna be the derivative of the cost function. Okay, so you can basically go ahead and write like this: dc dx or delta c delta x. They are basically gonna be same thing, like limit as delta x approaches 0. Okay, so let's just say if we want to figure out the cost for producing 101 item. Okay, so how are you going to do that? So because we have to know for the 101 item. Okay, so we're going to plug in here. We're going to plug in 100 in here. Okay, so because you know mathematically, if we do like c prime of 100, which is like derivative of the cost function, c prime of 100, which is basically represents the marginal cost, so then c prime of 100 is basically gonna be equivalent to c of 101 and then negative c of 100. Okay, because you see over here, like cost of 101 item minus cost of 100 item is basically gonna be equal to the marginal cost of producing the 100 items. So yeah, so if I ask you for the cost for producing 101st item, so here you're going to put 900 in here. Okay, so I hope that is making sense over here, because like if you go ahead and plug in 900 over here, okay, c prime of 900, that is basically approximately gives you the cost of producing the 901st item. Okay, so yeah, Yeah, I think now we can do the problem, so it's gonna make more sense. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve our second question finally. So here it is asking you to suppose that the cost of producing X item is given by this cost function. Okay, so we're given a cost function of producing X items. Okay, so the cost function is basically negative 0.02 X squared plus 50X plus 100, and we're basically asked to determine the average and the marginal cost function. Okay, so the average cost function, like I've just explained you guys, is nothing but simply you have to divide it by X. Okay, so if you go ahead and divide this equation that you are given over here by an X, what do you get? Okay, so here if you go ahead and divide this by X, so you get X at the top because you're going to subtract the exponents. Okay, so then you're gonna get 500X plus 100X. So that is basically gonna be your cost, your average cost function. And for your marginal cost function, so like I explained, the marginal is basically the derivative of that. Okay, so now you have to take the derivative of this function, the cost function, so the derivative of that, so the 2 brings down, so that's going to be negative 0.04x, and then 50, and then the derivative of 100, that's a 0. Okay, so now you have your cost function and you also have your average cost function given to us. So now what are they asking? Okay, so in the letter B, they're basically asking you to determine the average and marginal cost for the first 100 items, and oh, that has to be an and. Okay, and the first 900 items. Okay, so now if we go ahead and find for the 100 items the average cost. Okay, so we are given the function over here, the average cost. We basically have to plug in 100 inside this equation over here. So if we go the values, you should get $49 per item. Okay, and next for C prime of 100. Okay, so for the marginal cost, you simply have to, you have your marginal cost, you're gonna go ahead and plug in 100 inside this marginal cost function, and that is basically going to give you $46 per item. Okay, so here you guys have to know the difference. Okay, so here it is basically telling you the average cost of producing 100 items. Okay, however, this one in the marginal cost, this is basically telling you the approximate cost of producing one more item. Okay, so like one additional item. Okay, so cost of producing one additional item, but it is basically the cost of producing 101st item. Okay, so that is basically what it means. So likewise, if we go ahead and because the question is also asking us to figure out for 900 item. Okay, so now you go ahead and plug in for 900. The average cost for producing 900 is basically going to be $32 per item. However, the marginal cost for producing the 901st element as the item, that is basically going to be $14 per item. Okay, so this one, which has basically 2 questions involved. Okay, so this letter C that we have, it basically has 2 sub questions, so like one of them and then we have another question. So the first question is basically, should a company produce 900 items if it will sell them at $30 each? Okay, so they're selling them, they are producing 900 items, but they're selling them at $30 each. Okay, and we just calculated the average price for producing 900 items is $32. Okay, so since it's gonna take them $32 to produce the item, okay, but they're trying to sell it at $30. Okay, so that is basically a loss of $2. Okay, basically a loss of $2. So that means no, they should not produce it because of course they're losing. Produce 900, should it produce one more to sell at that price? Okay, so now it changes. Okay, now it is saying that it has already produced 900. Okay, they have already produced 900 and they want to produce the one more item. Okay, so which is basically 901st item. Okay, so that, and then sell it at that particular price. Okay, so now we have already figured out that it will take us $14 to, so we have already figured out that it will take us $14 to produce the 901st item. Okay, and since they have already produced 900 items, okay, and they want to sell it at $30 and it's gonna take us $14 to produce it, and they're selling it at $30, so of course they're making a profit of $16, so they of course go this way. All right, so that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. Bye.